this gentleman's name is Troy Taylor, and I believe he's a producer or engineer.
Come on, yeah, he's one of the biggest R&B producers.
You got to have somebody that you hit that you're like, am I tripping? And when they say yes, you don't even second guess it.
What's going down? It's still at odds. There will be a change soon. Welcome back. The one change that we will not be making is we'll continue to give you free music distribution for 3 months. So if you haven't tried it yet, you have music sitting around not doing anything for you, which is terrible. Put it on the platforms. Go to tolost.com, use the code @odds, and get 3 free months of free premium music distribution, plus a whole lot of other tools and access to resources that help you monetize your music, help you market your music. Tolost.com, the code is @odds. Try it out and let us know what you think. Drop that music. We're going to be talking about the best ways to drop that music today, among other things. How are the two of you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. The season finale of The Lesbian Homie was out last night, and I'm so relieved because that's been taking up so much of my week, every single week. I've been the person that I still cut all the social media content for it. So probably post anywhere from 11 to 12 reels a week, edit 11 or 12 reels every week, different platforms. I do have some help on like Facebook and Twitter, but all the Instagram stuff, Threads. I'm not over it because it was successful for us, but it definitely was taking up a lot of my time. So I'm glad that it came out. I'm glad that it was well received. I'm glad I got a decent amount of hours back every week now. So I'm feeling good.
That's a lot. Congrats on that. You're a highly productive individual. So I can't even imagine being able to also like to cut and edit all of those things in addition to all the other stuff that you're carrying. I'm also doing well. I'm the opposite. I have a bunch of new projects starting, and I went through the process of listing them all out, and I have 10 projects that I have to own right now, like that I'm in charge of. And I'm like, oh, that's where my time has been going. Because I've been like, what do I do? Like, I get to the end of the day and feel like I've worked all day, and it's 11 o'clock and I'm still trying to finish stuff up. So I have now figured out what it is because I've written down everything I'm responsible for. So now I can ask for help in the areas that I need. I brought my assistant back. She started really last week. So I'm looking forward to a very productive summer. I'm hoping that I can keep myself focused for that long.
How can you forget that you have 10 projects that you're responsible for?
Oh, you can. It's easy.
Because in my head, I'm just jumping around to what I have to do. Like but my list have been so long, and I don't make my list according to projects because just the way my brain functions, as the things need to get done, I write them down. So then I took the time Monday night to just sit and write down every project that I'm a part of, everything I'm responsible for under that project. And I'm like, that's why I'm so packed wall to wall right now. And like 3 of them are newer projects. And so it was helpful for me to write it down because I had pitched people for a couple of other things. And I'm like, I got to just say no at this point. I'm at capacity.
Yeah. For those that want to get organized, writing them down, I use my notes for a lot. But for those that want to get even more organized, there are applications like Asana or Monday. There are things to help teams get organized. I've never actually successfully used them with an artist because artists wouldn't really tap in. But they would be good to use if an artist takes the time to learn the platform and is consistently kind of updating it. So there are tools out there to help people get organized. I would tap into them if I was you.
Getting a big ass whiteboard too for your workspace helps because it's a physical thing. It's really easy. I hate to say we have so many digital calendar options, but it's so easy to just snooze notifications and swipe left on everything. You know what I mean? And a physical list in your face is hard to ignore. I'm not saying choose one or the other. I'm saying if you're one of those people and I'm one of those people, I have a whiteboard there. I have physical lists all the time for stuff I have to do. Yeah. Some of us, especially creatives, our minds are in 12 different places at once, which is great for making art sometimes and not so great for everything else.
Yeah. You got to find what works for you. But at the end of the day, I don't meet too many people once things really get going that can just keep everything in their brain. You're going to forget. You're definitely going to forget. So you need some kind of method. So whether it's actually writing things down, whiteboard, Asana, Monday, your notes application on your app, on your iPhone, whatever it is, you need something. But let's jump into this. We got a first topic. I believe this gentleman's name is Troy Taylor, and I believe he's a producer or engineer.
Come on, yeah, he's one of the biggest R&B producers.
I mean,
but you're an R&B fan. I'm offended.
I listened to the music. I never cracked open a CD and was like, oh, who produced this song? I was like,
he's probably produced some of your favorite songs. I'm going to be honest, because Troy Taylor is a massive name.
Okay. Well, Troy Taylor, massive name. Apologies for not knowing the name straight out, but
let me grab this no-name producer's video quick. And
you define one person that you listen to, regardless to what they say. If they say no, then it's no. If they say go, then it's go. Whatever. I believe every artist should have one person that they listen to. That sounds simple, but you have to find that one person that you know has your best interests and that you can trust, that when they say something you don't like, whether you don't like it or not, you listen to them, period. No ifs, no buts, no nothing. You say, okay, whether you agree with it or not. I want to challenge you to find one person along your journey that you listen to, period.
I think that's an extreme, but I would agree more with that extreme than the opposite extreme of like having nobody that checks you, right? And I don't think you're going to find one person that you need to listen to for everything in a variety of topics. I mean, you might have like one person that you go to like for music. And then for other things, you might have that one, but you need people to check you for sure. Like artists, I don't think I've met any artist that just makes the right decision every time. It just doesn't happen. Like even when you're doing well, that's actually sometimes a bigger problem when an artist is doing well, but they don't know that they could be doing so much better. Like they can unlock so much more potential if you just had people on your team that can course correct certain things, but they think they're doing well and they are doing well to a certain extent, but so they don't think they need anybody. So that's a pretty frustrating, not frustrating for them because they don't know, but it's like frustrating for me from the outside looking in. Like, man, you just need to change a few little things and you be crushing it even more. But what have you guys seen in regards to this?
I agree that it's a bit extreme when he says, regardless of what they say, take it. I practice a technique that when I experience friction with what people tell me, that if it's somebody that I trust, I don't immediately reject it. So if I don't like it, if I'm unsure about the advice, I'll hold on to it, whether it be for an hour or two thoughtfully, or maybe for a day or two where I think through it. And then if it still doesn't resonate with me, I move on. But there's only a handful of people like that in my life that I'm like, yeah, even if I don't resonate with this immediately, I'm going to hold on to it for a second. So that's why I think the issue is with me, because I feel like I'm not going to blindly tell somebody, regardless of what I say, or regardless of what your mom or your manager or whoever your no man is says, you got to listen, because I think that could be bad for their ego too. And also it doesn't give you the ability to practice your understanding, your discernment, your own clarity, and tapping in with your own voice. But I do think overall, like you said, you got to have a no person. You got to have somebody that you hit that you're like, am I tripping? And when they say yes, you don't even second guess it. You're just like, damn, maybe I am tripping. Again, you can be thoughtful about it. But I think people who say no tend to care about you more. Some people are just assholes, and some people are just like, I got to set this person straight. And I've seen people like that around celebrities, just like, no, for the sake of no, so that they seem like they have this moral platitude to stand on. But I think by and large, everybody needs a no person, even if you're not a celebrity, even if you're not an artist. And I think you need a couple of no people, because if you take it to 2 or 3 no people and they all say you're tripping, again, I would sit with it for way longer than maybe like, I don't know, I think it's just a difference of opinion. And I can give one example of that. Last year I was going through a lot of stuff business wise, and everybody around me was just like, I mean, sorry this is happening, but just let it go. And I was really frustrated by that, and I let it go. In hindsight, I wish I would have pursued more legal action, right? Now, a year later, I wish I would have pursued legal action. However, I think at the state that I was in and how emotional and frustrated I was, had I pursued legal action, the ramifications might have been something that I wouldn't have wanted now a year later. So overall, I feel like better with the decision that I made. But I still personally disagree with that. But I think cooler heads and better judgment there was made space for the better judgment to take place. And so I think that it left me with more peace a year later, even though it was really tumultuous last year. So I think everybody should have no people. I think you should practice being pragmatic and thoughtful, even when you get answers from them. But if it rubs you the wrong way, that doesn't mean it should be an immediate no from you. I think that should be more of a reason to pay attention to it.
Wait, just to clarify before Payne jumps in, this is not a no person. This is not a no, like this person's not going to tell you no every time, right? This person should have some expertise in the area that you're going to them for to say yes or no to something with a little bit more experience or knowledge. So I wouldn't characterize this person as necessarily a no person.
That's true.
No, yeah, I think it's just a person that balances your decision making more than anything. I mean, when Troy Taylor's saying it, I'm feeling a sense of anxiety because I'm thinking back, and I'm no Troy Taylor, but I'm thinking, ooh, this is scary to hear as an artist. But my artist side is saying that's scary to hear because it's hard to trust people when a lot of the decision making feels creative and it feels personal. And so when I've worked with artists, it's always, their decisions are always based on emotion. Every single time. They're bad decisions. They're almost never based on business. Look, if you make a business decision where it's really a 50-50 thing and you choose incorrectly, whatever, people make the wrong choice every single day and they recover from it. I think it's when you start making decisions consistently from a reactive place. And I'll show you what I mean. I pulled up an email from 9 years ago, back when I was still managing an artist, and we had gotten him. There were 2 managers, myself and another person, and everything's going fine based on what we're doing. So my partner got him an event, and the event was so successful it sold out, and the venue split into 2 events. And so they gave him the second slot because he was a newer artist, which is better because it's later anyway. And, the venue made that decision because they knew both events were going to sell out. When we told him the news, he was livid and sent an angry email to us and said, to be honest, whoever did that was fucking R word. I don't even want to do that shit anymore. And then we're at the point in our relationship with him where we're just calling him out like anyone would. All the veil of professionalism has been torn off after the verbal abuse we were getting from him. So, we're just trying to lay things out for him in a very plain and straightforward way. And I had just bowed out of the situation at this point because I was upset at the whole matter, because this would come up all the time. We would create an opportunity. We would bring an opportunity. we'd say yes. We're not saying no. We're not limiting you. We're trying to expand things. And he would say no, or he would bring an opportunity that didn't make sense, and we would ask more questions about it, and then that would freak him out. Anyway, it's clear that this is something really, really serious. And to contrast that, the other day, I'm not going to say who it was, but I was playing a show with an artist, and the plan was to shoot a music video at the performance. And the artist was based on feeling. He was feeling like the audience wasn't liking his newest music that he was performing. I'm like, they like it. They don't know the lyrics. So they're not responding the same as they are to the music that they know, because they, fans of his sing along to his music. And so I could tell, because I can read the energy. And at the end, he was like, no, we're not doing the video shoot anymore. And I was like, yeah, we are. We have to. All the resources are here. Trust me, do it. And I'll be damned if he didn't just turn right around and do it. And it was a success. So there are people out there, and he's succeeding more than this other artist, at least financially and in terms of his growth trajectory. So and I'll be honest with you too. I feel like regardless of who the messenger is, a lot of artists just aren't equipped to take advice. They're just not built that way. They weren't, either it was the way they were raised, either it was the way that they developed their ego to kind of protect themselves in such a critical industry. But even if Troy Taylor, with all the accomplishments and expertise that he presents, even he couldn't get through to some of these people. Some of the artists I work with, it doesn't matter who, because it could be a brand new artist, and I still get contacted all the time. This is just a blanket statement to all the artists that contact me. I've said this a million times. I don't want to manage you. I don't want to take you under my wing. I don't want to bring, because it's just, I can't, I don't have the energy to be, I'm sorry, a father, a babysitter, a big brother to another human being. I just don't. And this Troy Taylor video, what he's not expressing is the frustration that comes with putting your energy and your emotion and your love and your resources all on another human, only for them to reject it for stupid reasons. And I know it's happened to him. I bet you it'll still, I don't care who you are. You can be Timberland, you can be whoever. It'll happen.
Well, a lot of this comes from, now that, again, independence is celebrated, everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants to be the CEO, and people interpret that differently. People think that means I have to make every decision. I have to be in control of everything. This is where that word humility comes in, and comes in a positive way. I know we talked about that word on this podcast in terms of being humble. But nobody that I've seen is doing something that's never been done before, right? Even with Funk Volume back in the day, we might have used different tools to do it. But trust me, if there was somebody that could have guided us, that understood what we were doing, I wish I would have had somebody. We didn't make that many mistakes, thankfully, but there had to be somebody that could have helped us, and I would have gladly accepted that help. And just like I'm seeing artists today, I don't care who you are, you're not doing anything completely different. Somebody has done not the exact same thing, because you have different tools today. So you might be doing it a different way, but it still all comes down to whether it's building community, whether it's going direct to fan. All this shit has been done before. So there probably is somebody that can help you go faster, go further. So just be open to that idea. When you find that person, value them. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. How do you convince a person? I don't think you can. I think it's just the person is who they are. And if there's a limit to their, like a ceiling in their minds, you're not going to get past that ceiling. It's like a person who has a great support system, the best support system on the planet, and they're addicted to heroin. You know what I mean? Everyone is like, well, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just quit? We all love you. We all care for you. Some of us are cautionary tales. We're sharing our experiences. And this is an extreme example, but you see that too. I mean, I don't know if any one of you watching this has had friends who are addicted to drugs. They don't listen to shit. That's neither here nor there. And you're going to burn yourself out trying to convince them to do better by themselves. And I feel like that's not the same, obviously, but it's similar to dealing with an artist who just won't listen, because there's that barrier. They've imposed that onto themselves. If they don't want to listen, you can't force them to listen. If they don't want to trust you, you can't force them to trust the decisions and the opportunities that you're presenting to them.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating. I think it's just a matter of setting boundaries. One, recruiting artists that you know are already making good decisions on themselves, not rushing into a manager situation, because a lot of people get really excited, like, this person's so talented, I need to lock in with them. And then you sign some kind of deal like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. This is not the person I thought they were. And then just setting the boundaries. And it's like, if you're locked into a situation like that, all right, I know you're going to try, but find a way to get the hell out and find a way to not let it devastate you. Because from the other side, from the manager side, constantly being shit on like that by someone who you do anything for can really hurt you and really set you back.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get to the next topic. I think Aaron, you going to cue this one up?
Yes. So the next topic is coming from Mike Epstein, and he posed something interesting. I think that I got some recoil last week or week before last when I was like, I don't know about artists succeeding if they start now, right? I'm not trying to be an I know we're on a platform that's put here to serve y'all. And so the hope is that we can help y'all with some information. So this is me saying, here's some help. I believe in y'all. I just was asking the question, can you succeed if you start today, considering what's going on in the landscape of music? So Mike Epstein says, artists and managers, instead of only focusing your attention on hoping you go viral, try these 5 things. And so I would suggest you guys go look at this tweet. If you are listening, even if you're watching, I would write it down, try it out. Don't just let this go in one ear and out the other. Okay, so number 1, engage with your fans. We hit on this last week because Z said that he evaluated, I think, 5 artists who had dropped music 2 weeks ago, and none of them responded to their fans in the comments. So Mike says, engage with your fans. Artists and fan connections are important, as they have been. It's never been easy to make fans feel seen, heard, important, and then he gives examples. And then he kind of supports the example. Number 2, he says, experiment with different music, content, marketing strategies until you find things that stick. Oftentimes, I notice that artists will try something for a very limited amount of time. They don't even try it well, and then they don't maneuver through the experiment. They're just like, oh, people didn't rock with it, so on to the next thing. And it's like, maybe even this approach actually works, but you need to manipulate it a little bit, or change it, or challenge it a little bit, or try something completely opposite. But I feel like most of the time people either try something, and if it doesn't work right away, they don't want to do it. Or if it hits a groove and it works and then it declines, then they're like, it's over. I'm done with this. I'm going to drop another song, or people aren't effing with me, which is ridiculous. And that comes from the type of music, your type of marketing, all those different things. And then there's more support there. Number 3 is get feedback, which is essentially what we just talked about. Now more than ever, it's easier to get feedback directly from your fans after testing things mentioned above. How can you get feedback? So I would say you need feedback from your fans, feedback from peers that you trust and that care about you, but also have you shared feedback with them? Like, don't just be a one-way street. And then again, from people who you trust, who can give you guidance, who can give you an actual real world, like practical feedback and not just stroke your ego. Some people go to their parents or like people that they know care about them, like, yeah, are you messing with it? And they know that that person is not really going to give constructive feedback. This is the time that you should be open and honest with yourself and with others and say, what do you think I could do better? Or what are your thoughts on what I just tried? And then write it down so you can reference it in the future. The number 4 is study the landscape. Again, just as Dame mentioned, there's nothing new happening in the world. A book that I like says there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is cyclical. Everything is rehashed. That doesn't mean it's not fresh or original, but original is subjective. And I think that if you're studying what's going on, you can be more original in the way that you utilize unique input factors to add to what you're doing. And so he said the landscape is changing fast. Every few months, there's something new. Study. And then the last point is make great art that you're proud of. And I think that's a really important part, because if you're proud of the art and everything isn't flowing just yet, I believe it'll push you to want to figure out how to make it flow. It should help you be more persistent and consistent. So I'm just going to run through the points one more time. I gave my thoughts, so I'm going to give Payne and Dame space to talk, but engage with your fans, experiment, get feedback, study the landscape, and make music that you're proud, make art that you're proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think how anybody could disagree with any of that. I think if you're trying to go viral, and that's kind of the goal, one, your page is probably going to look a mess. There's not going to be no consistent theme or story. You're going to go to your page and you're going to see all these like random things. You probably step outside of yourself more often, because you'll probably be like more prone to do things like pranks, or just crazy, wild things just to try to go viral. Typically, when you want people to come to your page, you want to see a representation of you. You want to see the great art. You want to see the story that you're telling over time. So I just encourage people to be consistent with that. And you're going to get a different response to each piece of content. Like, some of our content goes crazy. Some of it is just loved by the fans that already love Ja. But the goal is not necessarily to go viral every single time. It's to be consistent in our messaging and our story. And you definitely want to engage with your fans that rock with your content. In that you want to do that a lot, especially in the early days. So there's nothing that I would disagree with in this tweet. Mike is solid. I think he was or is the head of digital at Cinematic. I don't think it's Cinematic anymore, but I think he's the head of it. It has a new name, but he works with Johnny Shipes. So he has a lot of good experience, and I would follow him on Twitter if I was an artist. I follow him as well.
Yeah, shout out to Johnny Shipes for not paying me for beats. I agree with all those points. I think the one that I think people might have a concern with is the trying something new, experimenting with different sounds. And I just to clarify, I don't think what he means is switch your style up and start dropping new music, because that obviously can confuse fans. If something's working for you, I wouldn't encourage you to just all of a sudden pivot, if your fans like something. But I think just trying different sounds and experimenting, at least behind the scenes, can unlock a lot of creative avenues for you that you weren't even aware of prior. So it helps, like I'll tell producers, I think a lot of producers have this conversation within the producer community about versatility. Should you make different beats? And I remember an artist told me, you shouldn't just make one type of beat. You should try to make Oakland style beats and Memphis style beats and this and that and EDM and pop. And I'm like, you can't really tell people what to make if they don't like it. If they don't feel passionate about what they're making, then they really shouldn't force themselves to make that style. You're going to spread yourself thinly if you want to please everybody and you want to try it. Like, if you hear something that you authentically like, incorporate that into what you're doing. But, don't force yourself to make a style that you're not comfortable making. For me, it kind of feels like appropriation. If someone's like, make that Brazilian whatever style music, I'm like, I've never been there. And I don't listen to it. So maybe if I got into it, yeah, sure. But I love dancehall, and I really tend not to make much dancehall music just because I'm not in the Caribbean. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with making music from an area that you're not necessarily a part of. I think a lot of the new hip hop that's dropping was produced by European dudes. So go figure. And it sounds good. So, and they're succeeding in the North American market. My point is just, if you feel passionately about something once you've tried it out, cool, incorporate it, but don't force yourself to make different music just to try to shoehorn yourself into a genre you think is going to, I guess, be a better viral option for yourself, because it's probably just going to water down what you're doing. But the other stuff, yeah, absolutely.
Let me get your guys' opinion on something, because I was going through this profile this morning. There was a cat on Instagram, had like 2.1 million followers, but only like 5,000 monthly listeners. And I looked at what he was posting. He only had like 5 posts up. So I'm assuming that he deletes a lot of his posts. He had a lot of engagement on those 5 posts. So I'm assuming that also they were real. Like, it wasn't just botted or bot followers. But what do you think could be going on there when you have 2.1 million followers, but 5,000 or 6,000 monthly listeners?